Hi, my name is Andrea Miller, and I'm a registered dietitian and certified diabetes educator here at community hospitals and wellness centers. I'd like to welcome our live audience and viewers at home to Live It Infused. Today we're on the Isaac Terrace, and I have my sous chef with me today, Angie Pelland. She is the kitchen manager, and she's also in charge of the catering here at the hospital. So actually it's probably more accurate for me to call myself the sous chef today, because Angie is just an awesome cook, and she does some amazing foods here at the hospital for our employees, for special events, for even for patients too.
Yep.
You do a lot of different things here.
Yeah.
And another thing that she does here is she takes care of our beautiful herb gardens. We have some container gardens on the terrace. So what herbs do you have here on the terrace?
Starting down here, the first pot, we've got fresh mints, a couple different kinds. We got a chocolate mint, regular mint. We got a lemon balm, and we have lavender. We use a lot of this to garnish, to put in lemonades, to infuse our waters, to make glazes. That's what we use that for. In this pot we've got rosemary, and then I got something new this year. It's a winter savory, and it's got like 3 different kinds of mixtures of herbs combined. They're doing a lot of different things right now with combining herbs, like sage and rosemary and thyme. It's just a different blend. We haven't used a whole lot of it, but I plan to use it in chicken. The rosemary we're using today.
I can smell it. It's almost like wafting off of the herbs. It smells so good.
The sage here, this grew, actually we didn't even replant this year. This came back from last year, so it's kind of nice. And then we've got the fresh chives, which come back every year, and then we've got regular thyme, and then we got a lemon thyme. If you like rub your hand on them, you can smell it. It's really good.
They have a lot of the oils that are in the leaves have a lot of nutritional benefits, and the oils that are in the plants just kind of impermeate your hands once you touch them.
Yeah.
So they're awesome for you, and they smell really good too, and they're wonderful flavors for the foods that we're going to make.
Yep.
So actually we're going to be using some of the herbs that we grow out here today. We're going to be making 3 different recipes. The first one is a crudité platter, which is a raw vegetable platter essentially, and we're going to be making some infused oil. It's a garlic and herb infused oil. We're going to be using rosemary and thyme as the herbs to flavor that. So you can dip raw vegetables and bread into that. And then we're also going to be doing an infused balsamic vinegar. It's a citrus-infused balsamic, so we're going to have some citrus peel in there to add a little bit of flavor. Just a pinch of some red pepper as well, just to give it a tiny bit of heat. You can leave that out if you want. And then some maple syrup just to give it a touch of sweetness. So that, again, is to dip the vegetables in. So we're going to get started right away with the balsamic. So we need 1/3 cup. And I guess we'll turn on our heat here. Let Angie do that while I get the balsamic going. So this is pretty simple. We need 1/3 cup of balsamic vinegar. And I'm going to show you some different ways that you can use the leftovers from this recipe too. So I'll have Angie grab the citrus out of the our produce basket. And we have these washed for us. And I'm going to just have her get a strip of zest from each one of the
1 or 2?
citrus fruits. 1 or 2, yeah, you can do 2.
I can remember what the recipe said.
And then we're going to do just a pinch of red pepper flakes. And,
the balsamic's one of those things that you'll want to keep an eye on when it reduces, because it can caramelize real quick.
Turn this down just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Got hot pretty quick there. So we're not reducing this yet. We're just kind of infusing the flavors. I hope I didn't turn it off. You can't even see the flame outside today.
I think it's off.
Did I turn it off?
Yeah.
The last ingredient in this is a little bit of maple syrup. So we're just going to use a tablespoon of that while we get the the heat going.
There we go.
Okay, so then you're just going to kind of just let it sit there on low heat for 10 minutes or so until all the flavors infuse together. You can kind of have Angie take the whisk and just kind of stir it around just to get everything incorporated. So again, we're not reducing yet, we're just infusing those flavors into the oil to use as a dip. So now we're going to get the oil started. And for this, we're going to use garlic, 2 cloves of garlic. And maybe while I'm doing this, I can have Angie start to get some of our vegetables peeled and chopped. Some vegetables that I found go really well with these dishes, or these dips, are carrots, cucumber, red pepper, and turnip. So maybe you haven't had turnip before, but it kind of resembles a radish flavor. So it's just something interesting, inexpensive, another root vegetable that's pretty tasty to dip in these dips. So I have 2 garlic cloves. You're kind of going to make a paste with the herbs here. And that is just cooking away.
Mm-hmm.
So the garlic, you need 2 cloves, and you want to peel it. So I like to lay it flat and then smash it with my knife to get the peel off. Take that end off. Make sure all the peeling is off the garlic. Garlic has a lot of cardiovascular benefits. It's a really nutritious flavoring to add to any of your foods, really. So I'm just going to giving that a quick rough chop. And then I'm going to add about a tablespoon of rosemary. It smells so good. I'm going to just hold it close to the top, and then you just pull the leaves, the little needles off the rosemary. You're going to set that right on top of the garlic because you're going to chop it and mash it all together.
Almost like making a paste, I think.
Right. You're going to use the side of your knife, and it kind of makes, a chunky paste. So then I'm going to take some thyme. There's lots of different varieties of thyme that you can use. And again, you just kind of pull the leaves off. And again, you need about a tablespoon of thyme. Kind of takes a little bit of time to get the leaves off of thyme. That was cheesy, I'm sorry. Okay. So if you get some of the woody kind of stem in there, it's okay. It just it's not real nice to bite into a woody stem, so I like to make sure I get most of it off. That looks like it's about good. So then, oh, actually, I forgot my salt. You need a little bit of salt in there, and that's going to help. Kind of acts like a sandpaper. And I believe I forgot that on the recipe, but I'm just going to use just a 1/4 teaspoon or so in there. And just start chopping. Gosh, Angie is awesome. Look at that. She got those all chopped and displayed. You can tell that she does this actually for a living. Like, she has to work quick in the kitchen to keep up with the demand. So I'm over here moving slow, and she's already done. How's our balsamic look?
That's pretty good,
I think. That looks good. So we can actually transfer that to a bowl.
Okay.
As much as will fit in there.
You'll want to take out the peel.
So then I'm going to just start mashing this with the side of my knife, mashing and chopping all at the same time. It takes a little bit of work to get this all chopped, but getting it a little bit finer I think is well worth it. It's really nice when you're dipping just to kind of dig the veggies down in this dip and get some herb and garlic just want to kind of smash that garlic. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You're just kind of, again, you're going for a chunky paste. I do most of my cooking at home. You know, I'm primarily a home cook, so I have no time restrictions other than my kids. So Angie's definitely much faster than I am. She's a pro. All right, so you're just going to put that in your pan. I'm going to turn on our heat.
These things are tricky out here. This has to be unlocked.
That's it. While we're getting that, we're going to use a half of a cup of olive oil. Now, if you're not going to use this much, you can, oh, what am I doing? A half a cup of olive oil, and an actual measuring cup would help. You want to use this oil quickly, within a couple of days. It's not something that you can, store on your counter for months and months. It can actually, using the fresh herbs in it, can put you at risk for botulism if you let it sit at room temperature for too long. So, use it for your dip and then store it in the refrigerator and use it up within about 2 days. So some people like to infuse oil and keep it on their shelf. If you're doing that, it's absolutely important that you use dried herbs because it's the water content of the herbs that increases the risk of bacterial growth.
You could also take what you had left over and make like a spaghetti and mix that in with it.
Yeah, and that's actually, so we're going to, that is sizzling away real quick there.
I've also seen where they freeze, because we always have tons of herbs left. And I've seen, I want to try this year where they take like ice cube trays, they put the herbs in them, then they pour some olive oil, and then they freeze them, and then you take them out, and you can put them in broth, take them out, and put them in.
Yeah, you can do a lot of stuff with fresh herbs to preserve
fresh
them.
Is way better than dry, too.
It is, and like you said, that's a really good tip to freeze them. It really
because in the wintertime we always
flavor.
want our fresh herbs, and we go outside and there's snow. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, so to use this oil, that's a great idea with the spaghetti. I didn't even think of that, but I've also used it on popcorn. I love popcorn, as you know from last month. You could use this on kind of drizzle it on an air-popped popcorn. I brushed it on a homemade whole wheat pizza crust. That was excellent. We're going to make a caprese salad after this, and that's another way that you could use it up. Instead of using plain oil, you could use the herb and garlic infused oil in your caprese salad. So we're going to let that sit just a little bit, and then we're going to get started on our balsamic reduction. Now, I'm not even going to measure this because it's not an exact science. You can use however much you want. If you have leftover balsamic reduction, you can simply put it in your refrigerator and store it for later to make caprese salads all summer long. A caprese salad is basically a tomato, fresh mozzarella, and basil salad, and it has olive oil and a balsamic reduction dressing. So now's the point when we're going to reduce the balsamic, and reducing the balsamic kind of makes it syrupy and then really intensifies the sweetness of it. In my cooking class in college, my professor referred to it as the nectar of the gods. So if you've never had balsamic reduction, I'd highly recommend making it. So again, we're going to turn on our heat. And it's on.
Okay.
So you're just going to kind of let that simmer away. And a good balsamic reduction, if you put your spoon in there, it's kind of going to coat the back of it, which it's kind of doing already. But basically, another way to think of it is you're reducing the liquid by half. So if you use a half of a cup of balsamic, you're going to have about a 1/4 cup of reduction. Add some heat to that. Okay, so Angie has the platter pretty much ready to go. I'm going to dump the oil in here. Make sure you get all the herbs. we'll set that on our tray. So there's the finished product of our crudité platter with infused herb and garlic infused olive oil and citrus infused balsamic vinegar. So our balsamic reduction is well underway here. I'm just gonna.
You want me to go ahead and cut the tomatoes and mozzarella?
So we'll get started on the tomatoes and mozzarella. So the caprese salad, I just got
yeah, that'll choke you.
Waft of vinegar. Don't get too close to the steam. It kind of chokes you. It's really strong. So, Angie's just chopping up the tomatoes. Tomatoes are coming into season right now, so that's why I love this recipe. It's really fresh and really simple. Just have some thick sliced tomatoes and then fresh mozzarella cheese. So, whoa, that's all the way over here. You're just kind of going to layer the mozzarella and the tomato. So you have the red and the white. It looks really nice. Angie's excellent at doing the whole decorative thing here. And then for the green, we're going to use some fresh basil leaves. So this is another tomato and basil is kind of a
salt and pepper.
Yep, kind of a classic combination. Tomato basil soup is excellent. That's another way to use basil. Making a basil pesto with some Parmesan cheese.
Bruschetta. Bruschetta is really good.
So lots of ways that you can use the tomato basil combination or different ways to use basil. So she's just sprinkling a little bit of pepper. Look at how quickly she works. Man, I've never actually seen Angie in action, but she's awesome. So she's tearing up some fresh basil leaves and putting those on top with salt and pepper. And as soon as that's done, we're going to drizzle. We have a little bit of leftover herb olive oil in here. We're going to drizzle that over the tomato and basil, making sure there's a little bit on each slice.
I'll trade you.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay. And I'll see how this reduction is going. This gas stove is just a little bit difficult to control, but that looks like it is reduced by half, so we're going to take it off the heat here. See, it kind of coats the back of the spoon. Look how thick that is.
Once it starts boiling, gets going,
yeah,
you really got to watch it because I've burnt it many of times.
And didn't you have a remedy for burnt balsamic?
A coworker of mine that worked here, we had burnt it one time. It was at the last minute. She goes, add a little bit more balsamic and some brown sugar. We added it, and it went right back to tasting the way it was supposed to taste, not the charbroiled.
So a little bit of extra balsamic and brown sugar fixes the situation. Okay, so we have our caprese salad and our crudité platter, and now we're going to do our infused water. So for today, we chose a pineapple, peach, and pineapple sage infused water. So Angie's chopping up the pineapple. She chopped off the top and then the end and made it flat, and now she's slicing off the piney side. She's like, wow, going to town. And there is a core in the middle of the pineapple. Yeah. You don't have to remove that for an infused water because you're not going to eat it, but for eating a pineapple, you may want to remove that. So for an infused water, our picture here. So we have just a big pitcher. You can use a lot of different types of containers. We just have a pitcher. The size of your container depends on how much fruit you're going to use. So for this side, looks like she used probably about 3/4 of a cup. Then the peach, she's slicing down the middle and just putting a couple slices of peach in there as well. I wanted to use peaches today because peaches are another fruit that is coming into season right now, so they're going to taste really good. And then we're just going to add a couple sprigs of pineapple sage. And I don't know, Angie, do you kind of roll these to?
Yeah, if you roll them in your hand a little bit, it'll get some of the oils out of it, and it'll make it a little bit stronger.
My hands are going to smell good.
Yeah,
that's for sure. So we're just going to pop a couple pineapple sage leaves in there. And you can do this to taste. So
orange is good in this too. That's one of our favorites here. The people just love it. I can always tell because I menu what flavors are going to be out there. And when we have the orange, peach, and pineapple sage, they go through a lot of water. But that's the way we get people to drink water more around here. It kind of works out.
I don't remember the exact numbers, but you know, we used to sell a lot of sugar sweetened beverages, and since we started serving infused water here at the hospital, we've drastically cut back on the amount of sugar sweetened beverages like pop that we've served, and we serve a lot more infused water right now. So the nice thing with infused water is you can keep that container going for pretty much an entire day. I think after a day we recommend switching out the fruit, using new fruit, but for a solid day, you can keep the same fruit in there and keep adding water to it. So you guys all have infusion cups in front of you. You can add water to those and sip it throughout the day. So you can use small cups if you want. You can use, I've seen people use a mason jar and just put fruit in a mason jar and ice and water, and then use a straw to sip it. They sell, specialty infusion water bottles that you can buy. All sorts of options.
Even for parties, it's nice to get like those 3-gallon jugs, instead of buying all these sweetened like lemonades and stuff, just get some fruit, throw it in there, and just keep filling your water and ice.
Now the nutrition of this, the primary benefit is you're drinking water, and water is what we should be drinking most often instead of juices and pop and things like that. So as far as nutrients getting in the water, there may be a couple. You may get, a little bit of vitamin C. You may have a little bit of carbohydrate in there, but not a whole lot. Just really trace amounts of nutrients in there. But the main benefit is you're drinking water, but it has a little bit of an interesting flavor. So, and you can experiment with different fruits and different herbs. If you don't have pineapple sage or can't find it, use basil or regular sage, or leave the herbs out if you don't have them.
Thyme's really good with like a lemon, blueberries, the mint's really good with strawberries. We do oranges with bananas. People really like that, and mint.
So the bananas really make the water very sweet.
Sweet, yes.
So we have now prepared everything for you today. Thank you all so much for joining us on this hot, humid day on the Isaac Terrace.
Real troopers
You guys were
here.
truly the brave ones coming out to join us. So thank you so much for enduring the heat and watching us today. And thank you, Angie, for helping me.
Thank you for inviting me.